People who have been wrongly accused of cheating are sharing their stories, and they range from sad to silly. People who have been incorrectly accused of cheating, what was your partner's proof? And, phew, did people come through with stories ranging from silly to sad and petty to paranoid? So, with that in mind, here are just a few of the wildest non-cheating stories shared. 1. This sibling switch. When my husband and I first started dating, one of his friends called to let him know that he'd found my online dating profile. What tipped him off was that there was even a picture of my husband, his sisters, my sister, and me all together. I had a profile before we started dating, but I took it down once we were official. He thought I was cheating, whereas I was freaked out thinking that someone stole my pictures. It was a mess. It turned out the profile was my sister's. She'd used her own name, age, and bio, but it just so happened I was in all of her photos. The photo with my husband and his family in it was the only full-body pic she had of herself. She felt terrible and changed the photos immediately. Thankfully, we all find it funny now. 2. This Android asshat. He had an Android. I have an iPhone. He saw the heart icon for the health app on my phone's screen, assumed it was a dating app, and accused me of cheating. 3. This flower stain. He said he saw cum stains in the back seat of my car. The interior of my car was black fabric, and I worked in a pizza shop at the time. The stain was flour. He wouldn't even go look at the stain to see it would rub right off, and he refused to tell me any other proof he had of my cheating because I would just explain it away. 4. This mystery solved. My husband found a condom wrapper under the couch. He never cleans, so I still don't know how he found it, lol, but I was stumped. I had no idea where it came from. A few weeks prior, we had a couple of friends over that crashed on that couch in our extremely tiny apartment. I went out with the female friend who stayed over, though. I was also friends with the dude, and she told me she'd had sex with said dude, and now they're discussing dating. I asked when and where this happened. She told me that night at my place. I connected all the dots and told her that I didn't care how low-key they wanted to keep it for now, but she had to explain what happened to my husband. So we called him, and she explained that they had sex on our couch, which we weren't too thrilled about, but I was going crazy wondering where the fuck this condom wrapper came from. 5. This UTI confusion. Not me but a friend of mine broke up with her boyfriend because she believed he cheated on her, because she got a UTI. She honestly believed she caught the UTI from him like an STD. 6. This underpants appearance. A pair of my wife's panties fell out of the leg hole of my pants while I was driving to work. I grabbed them and shoved them into the driver's side door and promptly forget about them. Several weeks later, we were cleaning out our cars together and she found them and was like, WTF? She didn't recognize them as her own, and only remembered after I scrolled through several thousand of my pictures to find one of her actually wearing them. 7. This filmed affair. My partner saw the generic blanket I have from a Walmart bedding set in some amateur porn video. It only showed the guy's hand and what was happening. No faces. She swore it was me because of the blanket and the similar-looking hand. 8. This phone fraud. She saw the names of my female family members in my contacts. She freaked out and angrily asked who my stepmother was, my stepsisters, my cousins, my auntie, etc. It lasted about 2 minutes. She started to realize she was being an idiot right around the point I started to realize I didn't like her anymore. 9. This blind accusation. She found a necklace in my bed, and I didn't know how it got there. It turned out to be her necklace that she had lost, but she didn't recognize it in the dark. 10. This old school story. This was pre-mobile phones. I was at my parents' house when he tried to call, but the line was busy, because my dad was on the phone. He then called his best friend's house, and his phone line was also busy. Clearly, this meant he and I were talking to each other. 11. This missed flirt. My girlfriend once found a slip of paper in my work pants with a woman's name and phone number on it. She asked me who Cynthia was. I had no idea what she was talking about. She handed me the paper, and I was confused. As I stared at it, I realized it was from a customer who'd commented on liking the necklace I had on. I told her it was something I got from a trip to Europe, but she gave me her number so I could let her know the name of the jeweler. It was 3 years later, while I was sitting on the couch of the home we just bought, when the situation randomly re-entered my mind, and I went, "Ojevich, Cynthia was flirting with me by giving me her number." I then apologized to my wife because, 3 years later, I realized it 100% looked like I was cheating on her. I suppose me being absolutely oblivious was a net benefit, though, because she did marry me and never brought it up again. 12. This expired example: they found condoms in my travel bag stuffed in a seam area and shit hit the fan. That is, until they discovered that the condoms had expired 7 years beforehand. 13. This self-cheat: when my wife and I had first begun dating, I had a phone that had a bad habit of butt dialing. One day, she was acting very standoffish, so I could tell something was up. I kept asking her, and finally she got really upset and started grilling me about who that girl was that I was flirting with on the voicemail I accidentally left her when I butt dialed her. I pulled up my call logs, and, sure enough, I had accidentally called her the previous afternoon, while she and I were hanging out together in the library. She was the girl I was flirting with. She was concerned that I was cheating on her with herself. 14. This prank gone very wrong: years ago, I had a friend who got a hold of my phone and changed his own name in my contacts to "Dirty Slut" as a joke. A few days later, my phone was sitting next to me on the couch. My girlfriend saw a text pop up that said, "Dirty Slut, hey, you free this weekend?" That was a fun conversation. 15. This plot twist: my story is the other way around, actually, where I was the suspicious one. We were a middle-aged, long-married couple. I was looking for something on his computer, not uncommon, he had a better computer, and I ran into a file named, "Bedroom Shots." I was like, WTF. I knew he had not taken any bedroom shots of me. I opened the file, and it was pictures of our bedroom, just the bedroom, that I had taken years earlier to use for a paint program that changes the colors of the walls. I had named the file myself when redecorating and completely forgotten about it. 16. This single date: I went out on one date with a guy in high school. We had a nice date. It was fine. He didn't call me after, I did not hear from him for weeks. I assumed he wasn't interested. I started dating someone else when I got a call from the first dude out of the blue one day. I chatted with him and mentioned the new guy. He then asked, "Wait, are you cheating on me?" I was like, dude, we went on one date and you never called me? We are not a couple." I never heard from him again, lol. 17. This till trick: I have poor handwriting. I was running a business and someone suggested I contact a guy named Till about some sales. So, I wrote Till down in my phone book. This was a long time ago when people still used personal phone books. I came home months later to the question, "Who's Jill?" I didn't know anyone named Jill. I was stumped. After a few rounds of, "Who? Huh? Why?" my girlfriend showed me the entry in my handwriting. It took me a while to place the name, but I explained that it didn't read Jill, but Till, who is a man. That was the end of it, but I never got over her looking through my personal phone book for revealing entries. In the end, we split up 2 weeks before we were supposed to get married, and Till never did buy anything from me. 18. This timely misunderstanding: the one and only time I snooped on my husband's phone, I saw that he had called the county's sexual health and STD testing number, and had gotten a call back from them a day or 2 later. I held it in for a few days, moping around and so sad, then I confronted him about it. He burst out laughing and said, "Oh, honey." He called the number on speaker phone, and it was a recorded message about COVID testing. The number had self-flagged as an STD clinic, but it was the whole health department. I wonder how many other people had this issue, lol. 19. This story straight out of a thriller. My wife went shopping for groceries, and a woman approached her, saying, "Hi, you don't know me, but I'm your husband's girlfriend, and he promised to meet me here today to tell you it's over." This woman knew some personal details about me, convinced my wife I was having an affair, and that I was going to leave her. After I did not show up at the store, she told my wife to call me and find out for herself. I then get a call from my wife while I'm at work. I get both barrels of rage and she won't stop talking. For reference, I was in an open area of desks in a large aerospace company. It was so loud, the managers from another group came over to ask if all was okay. I came back down to earth and realized I needed to head home fast and figure out what was going on. I got home to my wife in crisis. After explaining to her that I was working 50+ hours a week and have complete accountability for being at work every day and I'm never away at night, I asked how she thought I've ever had time for an affair. I then asked about her old boyfriend that used to be a police officer. I knew he was still jealous that she'd left him for me. My wife agreed that her old boyfriend was the type of guy who would put someone up to this stunt. We concluded that he must have created this scheme to try to derail our marriage. 20. This long-term relationship classic. She had a dream that I cheated on her. 21. And finally, this genuinely silly misunderstanding. I was deep into playing an online game when my wife came in wearing a bra that definitely wasn't hers. She stood by the door and loudly asked, "Whose is this?" I took what she said as an innocent question rather than an interrogation, so I quickly looked over and said, "Fuck if I know," and went back to my game. She quickly realized that, if I had cheated and she'd found proof, would have had a deer-in-the-headlights look for a second. It turned out it was her sister's bra that had somehow gotten into our laundry. We still laugh about it to this day. Alrighty, you've read their stories, but now it's your turn. Were you ever wrongly accused of cheating? Alternatively, did you ever wrongfully accuse someone of cheating? Share your stories in the comments below.